Hello my gorgeous people, Grace here, Bikedonia, and today is a very exciting day because I have my brand new MoskoMoto Reckless 80 Revolver luggage that I'm going to set up now. Now I could do a whole unboxing video and show you how to assemble the gear and put it on your bike, but MoskoMoto have obviously already done that. Ash has done a fantastic video showing you all the steps you need to go through and how not to stuff it up. So I'm going to recommend, if you just bought this product, you should probably go and watch the MoskoMoto video. However, if you haven't just bought this product, I just want to tell you that I am stoked about it. It is a really heavy duty, well designed set of gear. So obviously it's rackless. I don't have to carry around those heavy racks anymore. It's going to fit really nicely on my 690 Enduro. The really nice feature about this version of the R80, so this is version 3, the Revolver edition, it means that you can change the angle of the pannier legs. So you can have them sort of coming straight down on the bike, or you can have them angled forward. And I'm going to have mine angled forward because I want to keep that weight as far forward on the bike as I can. So forward and low is where I like to keep the weight on the bike. And that's also going to fit the 690 configuration really nicely. So let me just show you what I mean. Here is how the harness sits on your bike. And as you can see, you have some options when it comes to those pannier legs. So there you go, you can angle it forward or angle it straight down. Now I'm super excited about this because, as you may have noticed from previous videos, I spent some time trying to make rackless setups that didn't fit my bike. Now, in all fairness, this particular setup was a bastardized homemade job using some giant loop panniers that were supposed to have racks and then put on a harness which didn't fit my bike. But it just goes to prove the point that bikes are different shapes. For example, on the 690, it's super lopsided on the back because you've got the exhaust up really high and only on one side. So having a universal luggage setup which has the versatility to actually fit your bike properly, whatever bike configuration you have, that is pretty cool. Now it's called the R80 because once you stick all of the auxiliary pockets on it, you get 80 litres of carrying capacity. Now I am in Cambodia. I'm probably only going to be riding around here for a month, maybe 6 weeks when I go into Laos, so I don't really need to carry that much gear. It's not cold here in Cambodia either, even though it's raining torrentially every day, so I don't need to carry a huge amount of gear. And this is a lovely versatile setup for that because you can take bits off it, you can put bits on it. So at the moment, I'm just going to be traveling with the main side pockets. So these ones, each one takes a dry bag on each side, and that's 25 litres each side. And then on the top, I'm going to be putting the 22-litre Stinger tail bag. And that tail bag, I probably don't really need it for carrying capacity overall, but I do need it to keep my laptop safe. So when you're going to be crashing your dirt bike, you want to keep your laptop and your electronics up on top of your pillion seat here, where they're not going to get squashed when the bike lies down. So the only really important piece of advice I'm going to give you today is this: Loctite. It's been said before, I'll say it again. Make sure when you assemble this gear, you're going to be putting in a bunch of screws to hold it in the configuration you want. Make sure you Loctite your screws or you will lose them. So what's going in? I have 2 litres of oil. This is in case I drown my bike, I need to do an oil change. This is important. Spare tube. This is a 21-inch front tube, but if I have a serious problem with the rear, I can chuck this one in and get to wherever I need to go. I have my weaponry, which is obviously for opening coconuts and cutting bamboo. Toolkit, heavy, essential. My very tiny cooking pot. This is for making my morning coffee. Light a little fire and be patient. I have inside, I have a headlamp and spare batteries. I have a tiny tent here. I don't have my comfortable sleeping pad because I am hoping not to have to sleep outside too much. I'm not super keen on sleeping outside on my own in Cambodia. It can be slightly more dodgy than some of the other places I've been. So hopefully not too much sleeping alone in the jungle, but just in case I have a tent because the rain is coming down every day here. So if I do need to sleep outside, I really need some shelter. Tire levers and my big spanner for taking off my axle bolts. Clothes. First aid kit, including trauma shears and painkillers and waterproof antiseptic dressings. Now, admittedly, this is not an extensive first aid kit, but the idea is simply to be able to get myself back on my feet and patch myself up enough to either be able to walk out or ride out of the jungle to get the help I need. So, got the trauma shears to get at the wound to patch it up, got the dressings, and got the painkillers to get me back on my feet. Some soap, some shampoo, a couple of phone chargers, my GoPro charger, contact lenses. I have a lot of contact lenses because I wear daily disposable contact lenses when I ride because I have really thin corneas. This is a massive pain. It means I have to carry a set of contact lenses for every day I'm going to be on the road. And obviously with the thinness of my corneas and my crazy prescription, which is -13 for glasses, -11 for contacts, it's not cheap and it's not possible to get these contacts in Asia. So these are my special import item, which I carry around with me. On top of that, like I said, the computer goes in the Stinger dry bag, and the rest of it, I've got my armor, I've got all my riding gear, I've got my hydration pack, it all goes on my body. Alright, let's actually go out to the bike and load it on up. As you can see, I have my special carbon fiber heat shield here because I am running the stock exhaust, and the stock exhaust on the 690 Enduro is not recommended for rackless luggage. If you just use the normal heat shields, which are not made out of carbon fiber, your panniers are going to melt. So MoskoMoto reckon that if you have a 701 or a 690, you really need to run an aftermarket exhaust. This is an issue which is particular to the 690 and the 701, however, because they run hotter than the sun. Pretty much every other bike, you can just put the standard heat shield on it and off you go. So the trick to carrying your luggage around is that you toss it over your shoulder like this. Voila! This is how you'll carry your gear up to your room on the 4th floor in some dodgy guest house in Cambodia. Now, I'm also running the Paramoto rear rack here because you need something at the back of the bike to anchor your gear to so that it doesn't slide forward. If you have a subframe, you can drill some holes and put in some anchor points without having a full rack, but the 690 does not have a subframe, everything just bolts straight into the plastic fuel tank. Now you can see that the underside of the harness is really nicely lined with foam so that it doesn't move around and also so that it doesn't damage your plastics. Okay, enough stuffing around, let's actually throw it over the bike. It would probably be easier to do this without the dry bags in the panniers, just with an empty harness. But here's the thing, in normal usage, like I say, you're going to be carrying your gear to and from wherever it is you're sleeping. And it's easier to do that with everything tied together. This is just the way I do it. It may not be the way you do it, each to their own, but here is my real world demo of the way I use these panniers. Now I've thrown the harness over the bike, and as you can see, it fits pretty nicely. All I need to do is to anchor down the harness so that it doesn't slide forward and it doesn't slide back. Now you have the option of placing it further forward on your pillion seat to keep that weight nice and forward, or if you have a pillion, you can push it right back to the back of your rack. As you might have guessed, I'm not a pillion kind of girl. I prefer my companions to ride their own. So what I'm doing right now is I'm threading those 3 rear anchoring straps through my rack and securing them. Now it's time to secure the bottom of each leg of the panniers. On the KTM I have this lovely trellis frame, so I can just take this strap and loop it right through the trellis frame and back to the cam lock buckle. Super easy. I've also tested to make sure that the bags are not too far forward because I don't want them to interfere with my boot when I'm standing on the pegs. I don't recommend doing this while you're trying to protect your super shiny red new manicure, but I suspect that a lot of the people listening to this episode will not have that problem. So thread it through the cam lock, tighten it up so that nothing's going to move around, and then you just fold up that excess length and secure it neatly with the Velcro strap savers. As you can see, Bullet the dog finds all of this extremely boring, but I assure you it's totally worth it when you get out on really rough trails and you want to know that your gear is absolutely going nowhere. Once you've done this to both legs, then you want to get your top bag and secure that with the beaver tail. So I've got the 22 litre Stinger top bag, and that's where my computer and my fragile items go. It's super nifty. It converts into a backpack, as you can see, so that you can put your valuables in it and carry them with you when you leave the bike if you need to. Those backpack straps tuck away into an inside pocket, which I'm not doing now because this is just for demonstration purposes. But then what you do is you effectively Velcro your bag into place. This is how you get this wonderful system where your top bag absolutely does not slide anywhere. So Velcro holds it on from the bottom, and then you don't have to strap it down too hard across the top, which is also really good if you've got your fragile valuables in this bag. You don't want to be putting too much downwards force on them. Also, the beaver tail distributes the downforce really evenly, which is super useful for the same reason, not too much downforce in one place to break your laptop. It's a really solid mounting system and nothing moves around when you don't want it to. Now I've just got a few extra straps to do up, so don't mind me while I finish up with that. But overall, I am really stoked to get my hands on Mosko gear. It is tough, it is waterproof, it is designed for people who really want to ride off-road, and I really appreciate that. Also, I forgot to mention that the beaver tail is eminently expandable, so if your awesome friends give you awesome gear which you want to mule all the way back to Thailand from Cambodia, you can actually fit it in. This is me getting ready to ride with an extra set of panniers strapped underneath that beaver tail. I am happy to report that everything went dreamily and I successfully made it across the Cambodian border into Thailand. Here's a picture of me parked in no man's land while I spent 2 hours doing paperwork, but ultimately it was a success. More on that later. For now, I just want to say that my MoskoMoto panniers are fantastic and I am very, very happy.